Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to Wake Up Uncensored. So today we have Anthony, and we're talking about gun control and should guns be banned in our country?
Absolutely, they should. You have to understand, right now, like, we are in a terrible state as it pertains to guns. Look at Buffalo, the recent killing at the hospital in Oklahoma. Just recently in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, there was a shootout at the mall. At Mochella, there was a shootings happening in DC, Washington, D.C. And Uvalde, which hit me differently simply because it was children involved. So I would say that I would have to say that guns need to be banned. In particular, the AR-15. I just don't like guns. I feel like what guns stand for, it's not a good thing. I'm conflicted between, I know that you need to have protection. However, and y'all got to bear with me here because I'm a little tongue-tied, because this is a subject that really hits home for me. I'm conflicted between, do I want to protect myself, or are there other ways that I can protect myself without having a gun?
So like self-defense? And taking different classes
as far as self-defense, where guns aren't involved. Because I don't like guns. I don't like them.
Well, what don't you like about the gun?
Well, I don't like what they stand for. It seems to me that it's violent. Their violence is always...
The gun is violent itself? The gun is just
it's not the gun. I'm saying the people behind it.
Don't blame the gun then, because you're now blaming a tool. It's just a tool, like blaming a rock.
I can see where he's coming from in terms of that certain people could use that tool to hurt a group of people or to cause pain, as we have seen over and over again in the country. Now, I'm not saying I believe what he's saying. Again,
but it's in your face.
But let me ask y'all a question. Let me ask you a question. Two-part question actually. So, Fode, you ever been in a street fight?
Of course.
Okay, you ever seen a bottle?
Yes.
Okay, you can use a bottle as a weapon, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, there we go. Next up, have either of y'all heard of Prohibition?
Yes.
Okay, remember what happened during Prohibition?
Yes.
What happened?
It was, I believe, when they had they banned alcohol and people used Tommy guns mostly to smuggle.
We're not talking about all that. We talk about the fact that they banned alcohol and what happened. People still got alcohol.
Yes.
The problem that you're talking about is the guns aren't the problem, because here's the thing. You're not going to get, people who want guns are going to get guns. It's not the law-abiding citizens that are killing these people. It's the people that are mentally ill. And I won't lie, there needs to be a more in-depth screening process, yes, but you can't ban something that has become such a part of our lives.
So the Uvalde massacre, you don't think after seeing that, and like we've all lived and witnessed it, you don't think that at this point and stage in the game that the AR-15 in particular, should be barred or banned for that reason in particular? I mean, these are kids.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I teach kids. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, so
I teach kids. Here is the thing. You can ban whatever you want. People who want guns are going to get guns.
So let's make it more difficult. Instead of being 18, maybe you should be 25. I don't even think 21.
But raising the age limit, how does that stop someone from killing another person?
But here's the thing. He said screen too, and that's
you can screen all you want.
But you can screen a person, but that doesn't mean that the person has it all together. Maybe they have it together enough to get.
I see where he's coming from, because I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's afraid because of all the massacres that has happened, and also I think
I wouldn't really say afraid.
Who's here has been to London?
I have.
Okay, what's the number one weapon used in London?
It's knife. Oh, let's be honest, it's a shank.
It's a shank. Okay, number one weapon used in Haiti.
It is a we should call it cutlass, but it's a machete.
Okay, either of those guns?
They're not guns.
Okay.
And I agree with both of you. I think he's taking things more to the extreme. I do not believe guns should be banned, but I think they should be a better screening process.
But how do you screen for mental illness? There's so many people who have narcissistic tendencies, sociopathy, who are good at hiding those things.
And you're right. And in the state we live in right now, in terms of Maryland, they do screen. It's really hard to get firearms, or at least walk around firearms in Maryland.
Exactly, yes.
But certain states in America, it's easy. You can just walk in, get a gun. All I think he's asking for is every single state to to have more of a screening process like we do in New York, and DC, and places like that.
But you can't have the same screening process that you have for New York that you have for Wichita, Kansas. Do you understand why?
Why not?
Why?
Because there's not as many people. Like, the thing about New York is cramped. It's got politicians. The reason we have so many laws the closer you get to the Capitol is because they're protecting the people that work in these important places. No one cares who dies in Wichita, Kansas.
I mean, you're saying no one cares, but
Well, I mean, people
think
care. People care,
Wichita,
but they're not
Kansas-
politicians.
That's true, but you're saying because they're out of nowhere that they should be exempt from certain laws, which is
I'm
in
not
a way,
saying that,
That's
but
not how America is made.
It's not.
You can be 18 and purchase a gun.
You can also be 18 and go to war.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
we're saying it's
So
good
if
enough.
you ban weapons in America, if you ban them, then, I mean, are they all done all together, military-wise as well?
I do not think
But see,
guns
that's what I'm
should be
conflicted
banned.
about, because
I
You
don't-
can't do that because there's an amendment that says that you have the right to bear arms,
Yes.
especially in the case of the U.S. government coming to basically take your land or take your home or take your wife or take your son. There was a time when we needed those guns
Yes.
to potentially protect ourselves against the government. It's an old amendment, right?
So what do we do what do we do? Because you have kids, and I think all of it's horrible for anyone to get shot for any reason. But when you have kids, innocent kids, who barely had a chance at life, to even live life, when you have kids that have been killed, you don't feel like that we need to go through the extreme, and what should those extremes be?
No, because you're
What needs
punishing- yeah,
what needs to happen?
what needs to happen, in my personal opinion, as someone who teaches people self-defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Fode, do you?
I only fight. I do not teach.
So as someone who teaches people self-defense, we need to not blame the gun laws so much as we need to better secure our schools. There's no reason that person should have made it onto the school campus. As when I went to school, doors were locked 30 minutes after school started. Why were the doors open? Why was he able to get inside? Where was school security?
And some of those, they did have school security, and you can also blame some of the police officers, I believe, in Texas. Some of
Because
them,
they did wait.
Yes, they did wait.
They did
so
wait.
you can't say
There has to be an emergency. There has to be an emergency ruling. Like when it's this dire,
Yeah.
you have to throw certain things out the window. In certain situations, the red tape has to go out the window. That's something that is.
That's an interesting, a valid point actually that I want to bring up. The police officers, they waited before they took action. When you join the police academy, the police force, you take an oath to save a life, which could ultimately end your life. However, do you think that for a split second that these officers thought that it's either I go and save the lives, or I could lose my life and not go home to my own family?
Oh, you want to know? That's funny because I teach a lot of officer self-defense, so I actually have in many counties, I don't know about all, but in many counties, the responses that they have to active shooter situations. Can I curse on this show?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Okay,
What you need.
are shit. The self-defense that they have out of the academy and moving forward are shit. So they don't know how. Even SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics, they go take everything to the extreme. It's not there to save people. It's there to kill. So they need to implement better de-escalation tactics and better awareness tactics. And I'm going to say this. This could have all been avoided if the schools had funded better security, if they had locked the doors like they did when I was in high school or when I was in school. No one should be getting on that campus 30 minutes after school has started. That's a big problem to me.
we all say that, but we are all here black men. And the number one thing that's going to happen, or the number one problem that's going to surface is the fact that when a black kid comes on that campus and they think he is armed, or, they think he looks suspicious, and then they kill him. What are you going to say about that when that happens? Because you put a better security guard there, that kid comes in, he's like, oh my God, he might be a shooter.
So how about
And he
this?
kills him.
Like I always say with many cops, if you ain't from that neighborhood, you ain't supposed to be patrolling the neighborhood.
But that's not gonna.
No. It is
simple.
It is that simple because if I am from
Yeah.
if let's say let's take Sterling, Virginia. If I'm from
Yeah.
Sterling, Virginia, I know who the problems are. I know who's usually there. I know Jimmy the wino's on the corner usually at 3:00 in the afternoon. Jimmy not a problem. So if I see somebody walking up who don't look like he's supposed to be there, I don't have to kill him. I can stop and be like, yo, what you doing? You know, this is school campus. There are people who are from those neighborhoods
Yes.
are less likely to have problems from people in those
And if
neighborhoods.
they don't want to become police officers, now you have a problem. You can't force them.
Incentivize becoming a police officer better arm and train our officers. It's that simple, and they have the money. I don't want to hear about this. We don't got money because they got all this money to put into bullets and weapons and stuff. We need to better arm our police forces. We need to better train them to be able to recognize their responses.
Do you think they don't have enough training?
Oh, absolutely not. Officers have no training. Like literally, a lot of officers go into the police force out of the military. You go from the military and active war zone, you go through the academy, they push you through because you have military experience, your priority, they give you all that. Okay, cool. But where was your de-escalation tactics? Where was your situational awareness? You're not in a war zone anymore. You have to understand these are civilians. So there needs to be better trained officers. If that for the police side, there needs to be better security for schools, and they need to observe. No one gets through these campus doors unless you get buzzed in, because that's how it was when I was in school. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to get inside of school, you had to buzz in and be like, I'm here for this and this, that purpose.
Now let me ask you this, Anthony. What school, if you don't mind me saying, or you can say city and state, which city and state, was it high school or was it throughout middle school and everything, whereas the doors were locked for you in school?
Oh, it's all the way up from elementary.
I never had that.
Okay.
I didn't
So let me
even
ask
have
you,
that either.
where did you go to school for that to be?
Kettering Elementary.
No, which city?
place?
Which state?
Largo?
It was in Largo, yeah.
Okay, so here in Largo, Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So what was your...
Upper Marlboro.
Let me
yeah.
say, okay, Upper Marlboro. Yeah. So what was your demographic,
yeah.
or what were the people like in your community? What type of area did you grow up in to have the doors locked on your high school?
It was black. It was mostly,
Really?
at that time, it was mostly,
Really?
yes.
So it was all
black and Hispanic.
It was black. Okay, so it was brown folks.
So why the doors were probably locked? Because it's...
No, I mean, if we go off of like they're not caring about black people, wouldn't they lock the doors of white schools more than they would black schools?
No, because I went to school in Northern Virginia, which is quite diverse, which is, upper middle class. And our doors were open. It was open.
I heard something.
Rich.
I'm not. But our doors were open. It was free. There wasn't really. I think there was a cop that sat at the front, but we all knew him.
Yeah, we had
He
a
was
cop
sat
that
at
sat
the
at the
front.
front.
You heard that?
He sat at the front.
But it was cool. He was really cool. Everybody was kind of free. We didn't have those problems. That school never had school shootings. There was never an issue with somebody bringing in a gun, so on and so forth. We saw it on TV, but we knew for a fact it was never going to happen in that area.
And that's why I asked that question.
Yeah.
Because depending on the area, possibly,
Yeah.
that could be a situation as well. It could be like, well, we're not really worried too much about the area that you're in, just because of the area you're in and the people around that area.
Exactly.
So you know
we're not going to worry about.
So you know what the Department of Education used to do, and this is completely doable. It's not like they don't have the funds. They can, and if they don't have the manpower, they can hire people because they have the funds to do it. They're just stingy as hell. If you need to go into each of these communities with schools and say, okay, we've had a problem with this in this area. We've had a problem with that in this area. Okay, this area is more at risk possibly of having this happen to them. Okay, we're going to implement these measures. You could do that in 3 years. The United States is not that big.
Yeah, but these are districts and regions, and we have officials that are elected. Mm-hmm. So when you say in certain region is more protected or more free or more open, isn't it the people that are electing these people to, let's say, put in gun control and so on and so forth? Can you really blame the laws that are out now, since people are the one that elect these people to?
Okay, so hirings is a whole other thing, and we can talk about fake news and fake hirings and like stolen elections and all that. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
One thing that just really hit me is that as I think about the massacres that have taken place, it's mainly men. I mean, I think so far from what I've seen, it's only been men that have been.
All right,
It's been be honest. What color men? Because I'm gonna say it for that. It's been white dudes. Exactly.
White men.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that.
It's not mainly. It's like 90%.
And they all, and they all had the same look.
With the Uvalde, he wasn't white. He was Hispanic.
He was white. Look, come on now. Like, I'm not even gonna play these semantics games.
That goes back to what you said earlier. So is it really guns that should be banned, or should some of these white kids be given
better evaluations?
Yeah, better evaluations.
What you said earlier, it comes down to mental health. But
these people looked like, if you look at them, and then people are always so The thing about mental health is there's always a trail. Right. Because they always say what?
This guy in Uvalde, he didn't have a trail. Like he was only 18 years old.
So he was a psychopath that could.
He had no history
himself.
of having any type of mental.
And you get those people sometimes. Yes, I'm not gonna. You don't. But for the most part, for the majority, because again, we're all humans, so we're prone to fallacy and error. We can't catch 100% of these people. I'm not saying that. And anybody who asks somebody to have 100% success rate, I want them to shoot a jump shot and you make it 100%. All right. And if they can't, then they need to shut up, because we can look at a lot of the people that were in these massacres and be like, oh, everybody, what they say, oh, he had a history of this and he was this. You're telling me nobody saw the writing on the wall? Nobody.
Exactly.
Nobody saw this as a pattern. So,
it wasn't that they didn't see it; they didn't care to do anything about it.
And that's what I'm saying. We need to start having people care
it's
to do something. Accountability. Exactly. If you see somebody with that pattern of behavior and maybe you don't want to talk to them yourselves, report them. Be like, look, you just need to be on the lookout because, oh boy, So I'm not saying you got to do anything, but talking to somebody, letting it be aware that this is exactly, or this is just being aware that this person might be a problem.
Can we also make people feel like it's okay to get help? And we talked about this on the show as it pertains to mental health.
Oh, white people get mental health all the time, but it's not, let's be real. Mental health is not stigmatized as much as people want to talk about it. It's the same thing for a lot of these 2022 issues. You have better help. It is basically celebrated.
But some people are afraid to come forward and say, I need help. I'm going through something. Like,
what could they be afraid of?
Like if I
stigma behind it.
But what stigma? Because if I get on you about having mental health,
if you go somewhere and you say I'm feeling like, when we say mental health, it's associated with I'm crazy.
Yeah, he's
something
right.
is wrong
because
with me.
Cultures
and you are
a group of people.
And when was the last time you saw on TV that someone said, you know how many mental health segments shows and whatever I see on TV? It is like. Sorry, O'Day, because you put this up. It is like fat shaming. Like if you call somebody fat, you will get canceled. It is celebrated to get mental health help. It's no longer stigmatized. I'm tired of it.
I understand where he was.
It was, but we live in now. So here's the thing. We live in the now. So you can't live in the 1970s.
Right.
So everybody has internet. Even third world countries have internet.
So let me ask you this then, Anthony. Why are people afraid to say I'm bipolar?
Because they're living in the past.
Because they're living in the past. Because if you have YouTube, you have better help commercials.
I don't think that's fair because culture-wise, there's different cultures out here. And certain type, like I'm African, and in certain African cultures, if you say you have mental issues, he's right. They're gonna be like, oh,
they're gonna look at you like get over it.
They're gonna say certain things.
So let me ask you this: in terms of like friends in the black community, African community, Latino, I'm like you. I'm Afro. I mean, you're not Latino, but I am Afro Latino. So I get it. But excuse me, my apologies. Here's the thing: we are the summation of our 7 closest, or 5. What is it? 3 or 7 closest friends. So growing up, kids, let's say like kids, especially this generation, they have more influence from their friends. And I can't name one friend group today that doesn't have a transgender or a person of the rainbow spectrum as a friend. So it's like, go ahead, I'm gonna bet.
Well, I agree and disagree with that because that's even still an issue, and I know that's going in a whole different direction.
Right.
But when it comes to the LGBTQ community, some people don't even want to be associated with that because they feel like, oh, I look a certain type of a way. Or they're going to try to put that on me.
But not as much anymore because it is very.
I don't know.
That is true. But let's revert right back to gun control.
Okay, sorry about that for that.
And in terms of weapons and so on and so forth, I do believe that Anthony, and I do agree with Anthony. I don't think guns should be banned, but I can't understand where Antoine is coming from, and that. We've seen a lot of killings. We've seen a lot of people just lose children and so on and so forth. So on one hand, I do not think that guns should be banned. On the other hand, I do agree that they should be stricter in terms of process in giving somebody weapons and more laws around the state. So I do agree in a way. I'm in the middle on this one. I lean towards Anthony more, but I do understand where you are coming from, and you do make fantastic points.
And I appreciate that. Thanks. He's on my side, y'all. It's surprising.
I love it. This is weird.
Another thing that we have to stop doing is in mainstream media, guns are glorified. You look at your music videos. You look at things on social media, people look at a gun and they're like, oh, I have a gun, whatever type of gun or weapon they have, they glorify it. So I think that we have to take that into accountability as well. Like
Absolutely.
You can't glorify something and then the massacres happen. You're saying, but someone went into a school or church or hospital and shot up 50 people. When you would still turn around and you see the same behaviors in these videos.
Right.
AP, you on a roll.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I'm keeping it 100 with y'all.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong because we become desensitized to certain images. Yeah.
Things like that. You can't say, oh, I'm against this and I'm tired of this and it's these type of people. But yet, I cut on the TV or whatever social media y'all use or whatever, and it's glorified. And I see it every day. And it's cool. So my thing is like, if we want to see a difference, we got to start with everything pretty much. We can't just look at it from one angle. We got to look at it from all angles.
No, I agree, but that doesn't mean get rid of guns, because then the people that are going to get guns anyway, you're going to be left completely defenseless.
Okay.
That's another angle on it.
And I understand that as well.
So ultimately, folks, the weapon is a tool, and it's more so about the person involved, the screening process is involved, as our friend Anthony said, but let us know what you think.